Hey everybody, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connerton, and to my right, the Honorable Gary S. Hopper.
Yo, what's that, man?
What's up?
What's up? I got my hand grenade.
Yes!
My Vietnam era hand grenade. I don't know if they still use those today. I think they do.
I think the war's over, Gary.
No.
Oh.
No, it is not. There's no war.
I was just there. They're still holding a grudge.
They are?
That's unfortunate. That's sad to hear.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Our guest today is the Honorable Greg Saltz. He was.
Cheers.
We were Frenchmen together in 2000 in the New Hampshire legislature. How many terms do you serve? One or two?
One. I moved to a different ward.
Oh.
I went from left to far left as far as wards go.
Greg used to do a show here, too. We're not
Yes.
here, but they're here.
Yeah.
They're here.
They're here.
Right. That makes a lot
Two
of
of
sense.
the old studios.
Yeah, you go way back with that, right?
Yeah.
But just to recap what happened at the State House today, the way this election season was going, I was fully prepared to end up with a Democratic speaker today.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I remember you saying that last week, but I
because
kind of
there
thought you were
was
kidding.
so many people. Like, I posted that, on the first ballot last week, I wanted to vote for Carol Maguire. Carol Maguire's conservative, but she's smart, she's humble, which is not, usually those two are not compatible. And I think she would have been a great speaker. Just as they were doing nominations, she got up for her nomination and said she does not want to run and asked people to support Laurie Sanborn. And so I was very upset. I did not vote for Laurie Sanborn for reasons, but one of the most understandable reason is that the Constitution says that the Senate and the New Hampshire House are supposed to be negatives on one another. They're supposed to be not in cahoots. They're supposed to be some sort of independence.
Yeah.
They counterbalance each other. And having a Speaker of the House be also sleeping with one of the senators that's been there for a few years would eliminate that, sever that. Keep them apart. They're supposed to be apart.
Well, to clarify, they're married.
They're married. Yeah.
We don't want to sound like we're spreading rumors. It's not TMZ.
I don't know. Rumor would be cool.
Thanks for the clarification.
Actually, if they're married, they're probably not sleeping together.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
Yeah.
So,
Is Dan McGuire still in the house?
no, he didn't run again.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
But anyway, yeah. So after Carol bailed out, I wasn't going to vote for Laurie. Like I said, I don't think it's constitutionally it was okay to have somebody as speaker who's also married to a state senator, and so I voted for Frank Saporetto, who was also a nice guy, and I think he would do fine. But he only got like 6 votes, and so I switched my vote to Sean Jasper on the second ballot. And on Facebook last Wednesday night, everybody was tooling on Frank Saporetto for ruining it for Laurie and all this crap. So I chimed in.
She lost by less than 6 votes?
It was like 109 or something to 102. It was very close. It was very close. But I think that's the numbers. I'm not.
He had the Aaron Day effect.
I got drain. I have drain brainage. So, but the second ballot he wasn't in. It was just Laurie or Jasper.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and that was 109 to 102, I think. So anyway, Frank said encouraged people to vote for Sean Jasper, and so everybody's calling him a traitor Wednesday night. So I chimed in and says, "No, I voted for Jasper too." I says, "It's not right to have Laurie in there. It's not okay."
Even though in theory, Laurie would be more in line with.
Yeah, Laurie. Yeah, as far as her voting record and mine, they're a lot closer. But still, it's not okay. And so anyway, so today I was fully prepared for some of those people who were so angry last week to jump ship and vote for
Jasper.
No, to vote for Steve Shurtleff, the minority leader, and maybe make a deal with him in exchange for something, just to get, because some of the people up there, you would think, I mean, the average age in the New Hampshire legislature is like 65 or 70 or something like that.
So you're right in the average then.
Yeah, I'm getting up into I'm getting up into that
Ouch.
average. Yeah, I know. He's not a nice person. You would think that people who would have gone through that much in their life wouldn't be petty, but it's just not the case. There's so many people that they will cut their nose off to spite their face, and that's what I expected to see. I didn't expect to see it, but I would not have been shocked if we ended up with a Democratic speaker today. But we didn't.
Well, plus, if they had done that, it wouldn't be that much different than what happened last time when they went with when they made the Democrats made the deal with Jasper.
You're right. It's similar, but you still ended up with a Republican House
this would have
controlled
been
by a Republican speaker.
This would be more radical.
It would be a lot more radical, a lot funnier. But anyways, that didn't happen today, and so that was kind of disappointing.
So how would you describe Jasper? Socially,
I've never even met him.
Moderate,
You remember
fiscally
when you were in, it
conservative.
was Gene Chandler.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And Gene Chandler would basically stand back as soon as there was any social votes, say vote your conscience, which is not good for the Republicans, because the Republicans would, be all over the place on their vote, and the Democrats would always vote as a block.
Right.
I think,
Back then it was much more contentious, the social issues. Now that ship has pretty much sailed.
no,
I'm just kind of curious.
it's still pretty contentious. Some of the social issues aren't contentious anymore, but some of them, there's still enough to go around. Now a couple of your cotton-picking state reps from Manchester were on the House floor crying because we didn't legalize prostitution.
What?
I'm not kidding you. I'm not going to say who, because I don't want to start trouble.
Were they literally crying?
Yes.
That's the
Wow,
next
really?
jihad
Yes.
in that fight.
They were they crying because we ended up not legalizing prostitution, or were they crying because they didn't like the process that had happened? Either way, women up in the front of the New Hampshire House crying because prostitution isn't legalized is just
Did you hear
bizarre.
about the PR? The two guys they're married down there in New York, a PR firm, big socialites, canceled their holiday party because Hillary didn't win. They were gonna have like naked guys at the party, in drag or doing whatever, like butt naked guys. It was part of the whole, and they canceled it because Trump won.
good.
I mean, these guys are crying. I don't understand. It's
Well, the thing is,
these people are adults.
theoretically,
acting like this.
Well, if you look at, Trump said all the way up into the election that MSNBC, CNN, and the we'll call it the alt-left media was completely biased.
Of course,
right?
It's never changed.
And everybody said, no, they're just reporting the news. But if that were the case, I posted this on Facebook, if that were truly the case, then why did, what's her first name?
Rachel.
Rachel Maddow go into a complete meltdown when Hillary lost,
Right.
and talked about the
Well,
next
she's
day.
a commentator, though. She doesn't present herself
still-
as an unbiased anchor.
It's still the news.
But it's all opinion journalism. On most of the shows on MSNBC, all the primetime shows, they don't try to present themselves as non-biased. They're not news anchors. They're all commentators. It's no different than Bill O'Reilly on Fox. He's not an anchor. He's
But he doesn't.
an analyst.
At least he's quote unquote fair and balanced.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
All he
but-
is. He gives both people a right to say what they want to say, and the left pretty much wants to shut the right down as far as speech.
Yeah, but anyway, if you
They'll
look,
the left will bring on milquetoast Republicans on their show, and it'll be 3 against 1. Bill O'Reilly doesn't do that.
but if you
I don't know
watch
about that.
if you watch the coverage of the news, which is theoretically what you're watching on election night, all the MSN, all those people are psyched. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, they're psyched. They're psyched. Hillary's coming away with it. They're going to win.
Oh yeah.
You know, then all of a
Oh,
sudden,
yeah.
as the night goes on, it's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
wow.
Then we got
They,
psyched.
they start getting. They
I went
start,
right to the Deerfield golf course with all the Trump people.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah.
I
I
figured-
didn't even go to sleep that night.
I was
like a
gonna
teenager,
go,
up
but I
all
figured
night,
it-
and then I went to work.
I was going to go, but I figured it'd be so crowded that
It
I
wasn't
just.
too bad.
Oh, it wasn't too bad?
Yeah,
Oh.
and then like at 2 o'clock they're supposed to close, and they let us hang out till like 2:30. And the AP had called Pennsylvania for Trump. And we're
Yeah.
like, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. You know, he's got the 270, but all the network, they were waiting for Hillary to lawyer up. They didn't want to call it.
No.
So we finally had to go home, and my wife was still watching it. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then 3 o'clock in the morning, after he won, one of my Trump autographs sold for $900 on eBay.
No way.
I remember-
Oh yeah.
Do you remember running into I ran into a Town Fair Tire? What was that, like 6 months ago? And you were talking about that.
Oh.
You had the Trump
Oh yeah,
autographs and
yeah.
you were thinking
Well,
about
that
selling
one-
them. Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Okay, I'll give you a hashtag. I'll give you an expression, but you can't steal it because I hashtag.
I will steal it.
You can't pull a Mike Barnacle.
He won't remember.
Trump
so
start.
Don't worry.
Hashtag Trump start the economy. Because he did all my Christmas shopping for me this year. I put the tree up the next day, and I started filling that tree up.
Wow.
Trump
Wow.
started the economy.
Trump start the economy.
Yo, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is now that I've gotten what happened in Concord over, watch what's going to happen. For the last 8 years, as the economy was just completely bogged down, every time it was discussed, Obama says, well, we were such a, in 2008, remember, we were in the worst, economy since the Great Depression, and the world was ending, and, the Martians had landed, and
Yeah.
all this crap. For the last 8 years straight, they've been blaming the economy on Bush.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, as you could tell, as soon as Trump got elected, the Dow Jones and everything started going up because people are hopeful. They're going to start spending money. I bet you the receipts for Christmas are going to be huge. Okay? And the economy is going to get better. Guess what's going to happen? The news media for the next how many years Trump's in there, and say, yeah, well, Obama set this up. It was just,
Of course.
it was all Obama's fault. That's not
course.
Trump.
Of course, the media has never changed. To me, I mean, this election was no different than any other election as far as the media goes. And everybody seemed so outraged, but I was like, I don't remember it ever being any different as far
Right.
as the bias goes.
Yeah, the bias, but I don't remember it being as profoundly nasty. I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, nobody took Mitt Romney seriously. I mean,
No.
he could have won it, but he was milquetoast. He didn't have an attack bone in his body.
No.
And that's how you're going to win. I've never been impressed with the way Republicans run national general elections until Trump.
Romney kind of disappeared at the end. Remember that? It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Like the last couple of weeks,
yeah,
it
it
was like,
started going up, and then he had one debate where he was really good. Then he didn't want to look like he was a bully or something, and then kind of backed off on the last Trump.
Yeah.
He had that Barbarossa, Russian bend but don't break defense, but
Yeah.
guess what? It didn't work.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the reasons why I was on the fence between Trump and Cruz all during the primary, because I just had that feeling that Trump is somebody that will go for the jugular,
Oh yeah.
and that's what we needed. We
Yeah.
can't keep.
Nobody else could have won that race. Nobody.
No,
Would've
they couldn't have,
steamrolled.
because it would have it was constant.
you don't think anyone else could have beaten Hillary? Is that
Not
what
a
you're saying?
chance.
Really?
Not a chance.
You know what else is though?
I don't know. It's just,
I bet you Sanders could have beat Trump.
there's a lot
That would
of
have
polling
been a much
data
more
that,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, there's a
That
lot of
I'm not
polling
gonna
data that backs
disagree
that
with.
up. Yeah.
Because then it would have been because a part of the election was just people fed up with D.C.
Right.
Yeah. But
and he's not perceived as being part of it.
He's a socialist.
I know that.
I mean, how stupid would you have to be to vote for a socialist?
How stupid do you have to vote for somebody who, as far as I'm concerned, committed
The
treason
most corrupt politician ever to run for president.
and people voted for her.
I know.
So
I-
socialism is probably a step up.
But I was on election night. I was looking at some of the early states that were coming in, and seeing that Hillary won by 3%, but Gary Johnson pulled 5% of the vote, and this is the libertarian effect.
Right.
And Trump would have ended up with 333 electoral votes to 199 had Gary Johnson not been in the race.
Wow.
Not necessarily a landslide, but certainly more of a mandate.
Yes,
And then,
yes.
and how is it Jill Stein raises more money for a recount than she did as a presidential candidate?
Yeah, well, she was a shill. In other words, they called her up and said, hey, we really want you to do this,
Yeah.
and we'll give you a whole boatload of money to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, because Hillary couldn't overtly come out and ask for a recount after all the
She said, yeah.
crap she said about Trump.
Right,
So
yeah. And they conveniently forgot that Al Gore did exactly what Trump threatened to do.
yes,
He
exactly.
actually did, but except Al Gore went in and cherry picked the most liberal county in Florida, and brought in all the lawyers. And the first thing they started to do was try to eliminate as many of the overseas ballots, the military votes, as they could.
Right.
What do you think about General Mattis?
I don't know. He's I just hope Trump doesn't turn into a hawk and start wanting
God
to.
bless you. I was hoping you were going to say that.
That's my concern too,
Yeah.
in terms of, because I've kind of two thoughts on this. On the one hand, because I didn't support Trump, I don't support as you know, and I tend to vote against the two-party system. So I voted for Gary
That's
Johnson.
why I voted for Trump.
Right? I know what you're saying. I know
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But
This is why I hate Matt.
yes. But so two things. One thing, and I agree with what you said. I don't want Trump to be a hawk either.
Yeah.
And I like when he says things like, I don't believe in intervention and all this and getting into these sectarian conflicts. So that I'm encouraged by. But I'm at the same time, though, I'm nervous about some of the people he's surrounding himself with. And I have the same concern that you just mentioned, that he's going to get pulled in that direction more and
Right.
more.
I hope that doesn't
Well, see,
happen.
I hope what he does is, if there is a situation where we need to get involved in, like there are no other alternatives,
Right.
and he's tried dealing with the Russians or whoever it is to try to negotiate something else besides intervention, but if that decision has to be made, he wants somebody like Mattis in there to kick butt and take names, get it over with.
Not going to politicize it.
And that I totally agree with.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to do it. I mean, Hillary caught picking Obama within 6 months or something like that. He got his Nobel Peace Prize.
That was ridiculous.
Insane. And he destabilized Syria. He destabilized Libya. I think he tried to destabilize Egypt. But they smartened up.
Yep.
Qatar. No, not Qatar. Anyway, the whole Middle East was completely destabilized, and that destabilization caused the massive influx of
Syria.
refugees, Syria, to Europe,
Yeah.
which is causing the destabilization
Well,
of Europe.
That actually.
All of
yeah.
that is relevant, and
100%.
100% of that is Obama and Hillary are
The
responsible
biggest,
for.
the biggest is Libya, because Libya
Wow.
has always been the cork in the African bottle, and he couldn't get congressional approval no matter what he tried. They went to the people and they asked, should we get involved in Syria? And everybody's like, no, no, no. So they went into Libya, and they overthrew Gaddafi. And Gaddafi, this is after he overturned his WMDs.
Right.
Okay, and they went in there.
And he was cooperating on the
Yes.
war on
For the
terrorism.
first time,
Yeah. He was-
destabilized that. Well, one second, and they went in there through NATO instead of going through U.S. So he
Right.
completely bypassed you and I. Our
He
our
did
rights
that a lot.
and Hillary Clinton was right there with him. So they went in there, toppled Gaddafi, and then they went in there. That's what the American ambassador, he was trying to get those weapons back that they funneled in there to send to Syria,
Right.
to give to the Islamic radicals in Syria to topple that government. And that's when all mess in Benghazi happened. And then, since the area is so destabilized, that's where all the refugees are coming through Africa, right through Libya.
Right.
I will say this. I mean, I'm no fan of the Obama foreign policy. And I voted for Obama in 2008 and then was very disappointed because I thought I was voting for a peacetime president who was going to bring us a more reasonable foreign
Well, yeah,
policy.
that's what he
promised.
said.
Yeah. But I can't put it all on him. I mean, Bush going into Iraq, I think that was the beginning of the massive destabilization. Obama and Hillary weren't great with any of this either. But I can't put it all on him. I mean, there's some blame to go around here. I think George
Libya
W. Bush,
was all on him.
Fine.
Libya
Yeah.
was all on him.
Yeah,
and
that's
that led to the refugee immigration crisis. In
Now, was
Europe.
that, my memory is not wonderful. Did that precede the Arab Spring, or
No.
was that part of the Arab
That was
Spring?
after.
yeah.
That was
I mean,
after.
no, the Arab Spring started in was it Algeria?
Right.
I think it was Algeria, and then it went to Egypt, and then Libya was after that.
Yeah, because I think the United States government was part of the Arab Spring. I think they had
No, that
I
was
think they had their
grassroots.
tentacles
That was
in there.
grassroots. I mean, who
Yeah,
knows?
you say it's grassroots, like
Yeah.
it's like saying Black Lives Matter is grassroots.
AstroTurf,
Yeah, no,
George Soros.
yeah, it is because if like for instance, not to get too far off, but Black Lives Matter, it was hands up, don't shoot.
Which was
It-
a lie.
which
42
was a-
people that eyewitnessed the hands up recanted that under police interrogation.
Right.
Yeah.
So that whole narrative was not true.
Right.
When they had the riots in the street afterwards, a lot of the people that were there were
Activists from out of state,
activists from out of state
paid for by
to go
George
there
Soros,
to go there and cause trouble.
and the fake news.
And the fake news, and it's the same thing we saw at the Trump rallies. People are paid to go to the Trump rallies
Right.
to cause
That's
trouble.
right.
It is all part of a group that is trying to destabilize things and
Yep.
make news
Classic
that isn't even
Marxism.
there. Yeah.
So, but I mean, my point is, you know, like the founding father said, beware of foreign intervention. You know, right? What were we doing the banana wars? You know, what were we doing down in South, invading 7 countries with the Marines?
Well, I think
for corporate America to have to sell bananas and sugar.
It's all part of
You
the
know,
military
What
industrial
is the
complex.
banana wars? What are the what,
Yeah, it's
Benjamin Caveman.
after the Spanish American War, and we got what we got Puerto Rico, the Philippines,
yeah.
and so then we just started to go down into South America to flex our muscle because we got these Marines that are experienced, and we started strong arming these military leaders who, I mean, the politicians down there who were like giving us a stiff arm because they wanted to keep their bananas, and we're like, no, we're taking your bananas, and we're going to sell them in supermarkets in America. So it was a corporate war.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when they say they're fighting for American interests, it's not for you and I.
No,
It's a
no,
business.
no.
War is a business.
It is. I mean, what were we doing, honestly, in World War II? I mean, today's December 7th. It's Pearl Harbor Day. But Pearl Harbor was attacked because we were over there, an embargo on Japan for oil and gas. And Japan was in this budding empire going into, Indochina and China. I mean, but really, was it our business to go in there and poke the bear? And, that whole Pacific theater started.
Well, Ron Paul calls it blowback. We create our own problems in the world.
Yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Not in all cases, but
I mean, I think yes. Part of that was we started an embargo against Japan.
That's an act of war.
Which is, yeah, but it's also Japan had already invaded China, was decimating China,
Yeah, Nanking.
was already into Vietnam and had booted the French out.
And Charles de Gaulle begged us to not go into Vietnam. Begged Kennedy, don't go to Vietnam.
Right.
56,000 people dead, we pulled out.
Yeah, but Kennedy was just still, I think we're still at the advisory standard.
we
It
were.
was Johnson that went all in
course.
because, for whatever reason, I don't know what material they had in Vietnam that was worth 50,000 guys dying.
nothing.
None.
And now we got ships in the Strait of Hormuz right off the coast of Iran, saying, what are you going to do about it? I mean, imagine if Iran had ships in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, how would we react?
Right.
And so the Revolutionary Guard, these guys are masters at the cat and mouse game. They did it with Iraq for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So they sit in their boardroom and they say, okay, the American ships are right there. So they put the Revolutionary Guard in a couple of vessels and they say, just go towards the ship and see what happens. And then, we make a stink and it gets in the media and they come back and then they get in the boardroom and they say, okay, let's try it again and see what happens. They try it again and we send helicopters and they lock their weapons on our helicopters and then we freak out and we go in the media, So right now, the Revolutionary Guard are at the boardroom. Well, let's see what happens next.
Right.
Why?
Right.
I mean, and then we're in the Baltic Sea. The Russians buzzed our ship last year. Did you see that
What?
video?
I remember that. I didn't see the video, but I remember. I remember
That was scary close.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was the commander, I would have shot him out of the sky, regardless of the rules of engagement. Those were my boys in that ship. But we didn't do anything. I mean, why can't Europe buy? If they want ships, they can buy it from us, and they can patrol their own waters.
Right.
I just don't understand it. We have enough domestic issues to be concerned with.
Yeah, but the other thing too is I think in a lot of regards we give the news media plays up the naval power of Russia. Like remember when the Russian it was a big news story. I think it was during the election that the Russian fleet is going through the English Channel.
When was this?
Or was it around the English Channel or near the English
Is this
Channel?
recently?
This is 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah. And then they went down into the Mediterranean up into the Baltic, right? And it was a big deal. And everybody's upset. Well, what are they doing? What are they planning? What they don't tell you is that the only aircraft carrier the Russians have has to have tugboats with it
Uh,
to
Kind
keep
of like Fidel Castro's Jeep.
Exactly.
At his funeral. That was a Russian-made
So
Jeep.
they have one aircraft carrier that is completely unreliable. The fact is, their ports in up near Moscow freeze over. So moving their fleet to the Baltic just makes sense. So
You
it's
mean by the Black Sea? Or?
Black Sea, yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal, but they made it a big deal, like Russia's threatening us. When we so outpower them in a naval war, it wouldn't even be. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Well, I remember something Dick Cheney said, and I don't give him credit for a lot, but something he said back in 2000, right before the Bush administration was coming in. He said that one thing we must never forget when dealing with the Russians is that they still have the capability, to this day, to incinerate the United States in a matter of minutes if they so choose.
Right.
So I'm all for treading lightly and being
Yeah.
vigilant. And
Right. But the idea that their naval fleet is somehow a threat to ours is ridiculous.
right.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
But if we get in any kind of confrontation with them militarily, it's not going to end with our naval fleets fighting, unfortunately.
Well, I think they're
I-
more
I
of an
don't- I
ally
don't-
now than they've ever been, especially with this. Fight
Yeah, I think with
ISIS.
Trump in there, I think it's going to be they're going to start working together instead of
Yeah.
constantly trying to
And they're
poke each other.
Russia's more of an anti-New World Order type of nation than we give them credit for,
Yes.
and there's not much wrong with that.
No.
I hope you're right. I just, what I worry about two things though when I think about this, and I'm trying to be optimistic about Trump and everything, but there was the Russian reset when Obama came in, and we all know how that went. And then prior to that, there was George W. Bush, who hilariously said he looked into Putin's eyes and
Yeah.
saw his soul, and
Yeah.
and we all know how that turned out. So I worry. I hope Trump's not being
the thing is,
played by Putin.
I think Putin is a much better chess player than most of the diplomats that we have in the United States. I'm just hoping Trump is as
Don't
as
stick your
up
neck
to-
out, Gary. Don't stick your neck out too far. And let me quote Donald Trump: "We have a lot of stupid people in our government."
Right, but I'm saying up till now, I think obviously by results you can tell Hillary and Obama were not good at foreign policy. They were horrible, and weak, and so I'm hoping that Trump understands that premise and is up to the challenge of playing chess with Mr. Putin. You wanted to cover a whole bunch of subjects. How many?
I just glanced over and saw TPP.
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 Trans-Pacific Partnership. Hey, you know what?
Dead.
Dead.
And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people because when we enter into these foreign trade partnerships, they generally don't go in our favor.
No, of course they
And
don't.
so now, this would, by default, this TPP deal being dead should, by default strengthen our economy because the Asian markets dropped right away.
Yeah, but don't we have to pass this so we can find out what's in it?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What about the climate hoax?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the things too is that Obama did are not really like they claim. Like for instance, we have a treaty with Iran. We don't have any treaty with Iran.
What are you talking about?
That was not a treaty.
What was it? Was it John Kerry
John Kerry and President Obama can do what they want unless it goes through the United States Senate.
It has to be ratified.
It has to be ratified by the Senate, or it's not a treaty. That was just an agreement with the administration, and now the administration has changed, and that agreement's null and void. Now, I believe it went through the NATO or something like that.
That would be the last thing on my plate if I was president.
I know, but I'm just saying, there was a lot of things that where Obama circumvented the Congress because they knew they couldn't get congressional approval.
Yeah,
And any of those things are no longer relevant
right.
because that is not a treaty.
It's the first time I've heard that expressed that way.
Is
You know,
that good or bad?
if a nation signs a treaty and they sign the paper with another nation,
It's not a treaty.
so what is it?
It's not
An agreement?
technically
It's
an
just
It
an
is
agreement?
not. It is not an effective treaty.
It's just
For,
an agreement between one administration and
It's
another.
just an agreement between Obama. Obama can go over there and haggle it if he wants, but
yeah.
because a treaty with the United States, from your Constitution, is something that's ratified by the United States Senate and signed by the President. The Senate never approved it, so it is not a treaty. It might be some agreement.
So
You know,
there
it's-
goes
it's-
so
it
I
is-
must be listening to the fake news because I've heard the word treaty a billion times.
Yes, that's fake. that is a lie. It is much more like a presidential order. That's all it is. And as soon as Trump takes office, he can unwrite any presidential order Obama did. I mean, I think he's going to have writer's cramp on January 21st.
We'll see. I don't know. He's already softening on some things.
Well, I
On
think
what?
he's negotiating.
He's softening on what?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, he was when he says he might keep some things in Obamacare and
Well, of course he's going to keep some things.
yeah,
He's
said
never
that-
changed his stance
he
on
said
that.
He said that for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
yeah, but he may not. Rather than trying to repeal and replace it, of course, he's got to work with his colleagues in the House
Yeah,
and
he
Senate.
can't do
but-
that. He hasn't been elected czar. He's got
but
to
I-
still work with Congress.
Right, but I won't be surprised if you don't see a full repeal, but rather you just see them
Yeah,
take the
he's never-
existing law
yeah,
and change it.
Yeah, of course.
Which I would prefer, actually. I
Yeah.
think that's easier. I think it's a much heavier lift to repeal the whole thing.
My wife started working, and she works for Catholic Charities, and she was offered health insurance,
Yeah.
but she's on my family plan. So I'm like, why should we have a plan here, or I have me, myself, and my daughter, and you on another plan? We'll just stay on the same plan.
You're better off, I'm sure, yeah.
So now my company just charged me $2,000 that I have to pay weekly over the course of a year because she works for a company that offers health insurance but doesn't take it.
Oh my
so it
God,
cost me
really?
$2,000. Plus my deductibles are so high now. I mean, this Obamacare is costing me probably $4,000 a year.
I currently don't have health insurance.
Really?
Yeah, I'm better off paying the penalty.
Because you had it when they first started. I remember you were running around trying to get it.
Right.
I'd never know what
It's too
happened.
expensive.
How
Yeah,
old
I
are
never
you?
got it.
How old are you?
44.
44.
You don't look a day over 47.
Thank you.
That's right.
Give
I use
Jen,
oil of Olay.
give Jen my best for me, will you?
Yeah.
She's a good girl.
Yeah.
Am I not supposed to bring her name up? Or?
No, you can.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if I was revealing
Stop,
something I shouldn't have.
No, absolutely.
Top secret,
She might be
top
watching, actually. So.
No. Hey, what else you got? Well, you got a list. I don't know if you can see that on TV, but he's got like a whole bunch of postcards he came up with all kinds of subjects. What
We'll
else?
talk about some of the ways that the left has reacted to the election, particularly like college students.
Oh gosh.
Can you believe the coddling of these kids?
Oh yeah, go ahead, go for it.
Well, I mean, it's different universities, but they're like have these separate rooms where they're offering them coloring books,
Well, that's not a new thing, though.
pacifiers.
I mean,
you
it's
know?
reasonably new over the last 5 years or so,
I've
but
never seen anything like it.
yeah, the safe spaces. And
Yeah, safe spaces are not new, but the
Trump is probably considered a trigger word now.
Yes.
Oh, I know a lot of people who would not put a Trump sticker on their car because they were afraid it was going to get vandalized.
I know.
Really?
I know the
Yeah.
president of UNH. I believe it was the president of UNH had to send out a letter to the students to tell them to back off and quit tormenting Trump supporters.
Really?
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I tried to find it online. I can't find it. I know it exists.
You've been to Tea Party rallies, right?
Yeah, I was 2009. I was down in D.C.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well,
got pictures.
I've been at 2 different Tea Party rallies, and they were fun,
Yeah, fun.
peaceful, family, just a casual atmosphere.
Yeah.
And people were upset, but in righteous indignation, but they weren't, burning buildings down like the Occupy people. I mean, the Occupy rallies actually had rape-free zones because so many people were being raped, and there was just drugs everywhere.
Oh,
violence.
yeah, the one in New York.
Well, there was some of that. Some places.
A lot of it was it was epidemic.
There
It was
there
all
were there
over.
were also a lot of cities where they had Occupy rallies that were very peaceful, though. It's
Oh,
not.
sure.
It's not like all of them.
I know that when I went down to in 2009, I still have pictures on Facebook. 2009, I went down there with my son and his wife, was his wife. And what struck me was a couple of things. Remember when you and I were down at the stand of
Promise
the
Keepers.
Promise
Yep,
Keepers, right?
yep. Washington, D.C.
There was at least
1 million people.
There was 1 million people. Okay.
Largest gathering ever in D.C.
Really?
The locals have been there since Martin Luther King said never seen, because you
Wow.
listen to the fake news, there was 100,000, and
Is that what they said?
and
Oh, yeah.
Farrakhan had 1 million.
Right.
Yeah. See, at National Propaganda Radio, when I was on the way back from. We remember that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that was 1 million people. It was half that full.
Really,
In
that's a
2009.
lot of people.
It was at least a 500,000 people.
Wow. Holy.
Because I was at both. Okay,
Yeah.
so I know what the volume is. Half that people showed up. So I'd say 500,000 people showed up. National Propaganda Radio on the way home. I was listening to them on going through Rhode Island. They spent 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I don't know exact time, talking about Serena Williams. Is
The
that
tennis
cor-
player?
Tennis player.
Tennis player.
Yeah,
And her victory at Wimbledon or something.
yeah.
4 minutes. 1 minute on
the
a
rally.
gathering of anti-Obama protesters.
Yeah.
Tens of
course.
thousands of people showed
Fake
up.
news. But anyhow,
And the thing is we went down there, and you went down there, there were black people.
yeah.
And the cool thing was that the signs, almost all of them were homemade.
Yeah, and very
So-
witty too. I'm
and
sure.
witty. And the people were there, and they weren't protesting Obama, which is what they said in the news.
Right.
It was a protest against the overreach of government. It was a protest against the bank bailouts. It was a protest against Obamacare.
Yeah.
It was just like people were upset that the government is getting that socialist, and that's what the protest was really about. 500,000 people show up. You know how many arrests there were? Zero. Nobody got arrested. You know how much they had to clean up? Nothing. Everybody cleaned up after themselves.
Yeah.
It's a completely different
Yeah.
crowd.
I actually spoke at an Occupy rally.
You did?
Those people are cuckoo.
Oh, really?
It was unbelievable. But you have to agree, there are areas where the Tea Party and the Occupy,
Yes.
there are issues they overlap.
Oh, definitely.
And
Yeah.
I tell you, so I had an overlapping issue, and so I was invited to speak, and when I showed up, there was a buzz going around. It was at Victory Park downtown.
Oh.
What is this guy doing here? This guy's Tea
I think
Party.
I think I went down there at Victory
I'm-
Park. Yeah.
Well, anyhow, and so there was a completely different vibe,
Yeah.
and they had their own language. They're like "Doodle-doo, doodle-doo," like when the police wanted them to move to a different area, so they all started going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck are they doing? And that means like they're gonna have a meeting. They have all these sign languages, and they were deciding whether or not they were going to obey the police. And it was just different when you hang out with people on the left, and then you hang out with people on the right, and at different protests or rallies or whatever. It's a totally different vibe, and one is kind of scary.
Right, right.
And I've been with the left wingers, and I'm not saying that they're all agitators, but there's definitely an undercurrent in there that you feel like I hope the police are around.
What did you go there to speak about?
I work for corporate America, and the CEO of the company that I worked for was talking about cutting back benefits.
Yeah.
And this was after she went on the Wall Street Journal and talked about how you have to be, as a corporation, you have to have compassion for the people that you work for. And it was just a total two-faced thing.
Yeah.
You know, in front of the cameras, you know, she wants to act like she's altruistic, but in front of the board, you know, she wants to try to find ways to cut to save her own job.
Of course, yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily me that was going to be affected that much. It was because I'm in the union, not in management.
Yeah.
But it was the management that was really going to be affected. And so I was kind of sticking up for my management, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And they got cut pretty bad. You know.
Interesting. I was talking to some union guys yesterday,
Yep.
and you remember the? I didn't know this. You remember the? What do you call it when you hold signs instead of going to work? Walkout or whatever. For the bus drivers.
Strike. Yeah.
Bus driver strike.
Okay.
I didn't know this. That company they were striking against actually has ownership of a lot of the bus companies in New Hampshire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the strike was about that company, which is actually an overseas company, wasn't. I think it was their 401k or whatever it is, their retirement.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't putting the money in the account that they agreed to.
Oh.
Okay.
They weren't doing the matching.
They were not doing the matching. They were screwing up people's paychecks. Now, you know bus drivers, they don't make much money. It's a pretty thankless job. I mean, they put up with a lot of crap running those kids all over the Hell's Half Acre, and they don't get paid a lot of money for it. So that's what the thing was about. And he said, the union guy was telling me, he says, you know, that company owns, I forget how many bus companies in New Hampshire, right? He says, there's one near the seacoast, they can't get in. You know why?
Why?
Because the manager of that bus company is so nice and treats his employees so well.
Oh yeah, they don't want the.
They don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
heard that.
And that's really true. I mean, if you don't want unions, just treat people nice.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Just be respectful. That's all you really have to do to keep a union out.
Tell you if we can just tack a little bit different direction is one of the most disturbing trends in America right now is the use of the word racism, and you're a racist. It's
All
unbelievable.
over the place.
And it's like whatever the
Does
media
it,
says, the
do you think
opposite
it's getting
is
to
true.
the? Do you think it's getting to the point where it's so overused people don't even care anymore?
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
I prefer the term racist American.
I never heard of the alt-right until Hillary started screeching about it. I'm like, what's the alt-right? I never even heard of it.
Right.
I still don't even know what it is.
Well,
Is this like the KKK, like a couple of rednecks down south?
Sort of this white nationalism thing. That's what I don't know how you. I know
I don't
you're
know
okay with
anybody
it,
like that.
no.
I don't-
There's. If you listen to Milo Yiannopoulos,
Yiannopoulos,
he
yeah.
actually has a positive take on what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he says he's the spokesman for the alt right.
What is it, culture?
No, it's just a group in his mind. Okay, it depends on who you listen to, what it is, but in his mind, the alt right is the ones who are absolutely sick and tired of the foundation of this country and the Constitution and everything being considered racism and all this political correctness garbage. I mean, the founding fathers, whether they were white, green, yellow, or blue, it doesn't really matter. They, with the help of God, they gave us the greatest foundation for a form of government in history. There's nothing that's ever been close.
Of course.
Okay? And whether some of them had slaves or didn't, it really does not reflect on the fact that that foundational document allowed itself to be amended to get rid of slavery, to do all the things that have happened since, and Milo is just really upset that things like that are being called racism.
Yeah.
And anybody who espouses to
So it's
American
culture.
culture,
It's culture, yeah.
is racist or
Right.
homophobic or xenophobic, and that foundation, that he says his fundamental idea, or one of the things he tries to get across, is I'm from England.
And he's gay,
He's gay.
conservative.
He's
Works for Breitbart.
Right. I'm from England. They allowed the mass importation Muslim culture, and that culture is fundamentally not compatible
Right.
with European democracy or
Sounds like my
republic.
Yeah.
And he's correct.
Yeah.
You can't have Sharia law and constitutional law. They do
That's-
not. They do not.
That's the major blowback in this election.
Right. And so that's what his take on. You can listen. You can do a Google search about
Yeah.
alt right and him. He's interviewed on CNN or something about it. But that's basically what he says. Now there is a group, and I guess one of their spokesmen spoke in Washington D.C. shortly after the election.
Yeah, and they were doing the.
And
couple
he is
people
a-
were doing the Nazi salute. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
who
that
are
was
these people.
Those were two Jewish guys and an actress who was not even white. That did the Nazi salute, that one picture.
Yeah.
But the guy, I guess, is legit, was speaking, and he is a white supremacist / nationalist. But that has nothing to do with it. I mean, there's always going to be some people
They always-
who are
those
so
guys-
far to the right,
always pop
or,
up in
or not
election
even
time.
right. I think that's actually left. Well, it is because it's about absolute control.
Yeah.
There has been a disturbing rise in anti-Semitism online.
Yeah.
On social
in
media.
universities.
Well, Jen's been seeing a lot of it because she's
Really?
of Jewish descent, and she's had to block people she's known for years.
Yeah.
She's had to block because lately they just feel free to just put this stuff to the point where there's this bizarre conspiracy theory now circulating that the Jews actually are the ones behind 9/11.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
they've
yeah.
it's
yeah.
bizarre stuff, and it's really strange and
I'm glad you touched on that because I've been looking into something called Pizzagate. Okay, and Pizzagate is the idea
Sounds
that
like it's got New Jersey written all over.
no, it's actually DC.
it's more like conspiracy theory.
No, it's actual pizza parlor near the White House, where somehow the guy that owns it is like super rich from selling pizza. That's one of the selling points for this idea. But it's all right near the end of the election. They found Anthony Weiner's laptop. There was a lot of rumors that on that laptop were connections to a massive pedophile ring, including this pizza place near the White House. And
Really?
Oh, yeah.
This is all speculation.
This is all speculation.
We don't know any of this for a fact.
And I will tell you what really bothers me is I hear rumors like this. I mean, because there's other variables. I mean, Australian 60 Minutes did a whole thing on the pedophile ring that stems out of the English Parliament, and you had had Bill Clinton messing around, and you had that Epstein who had Whore Island with underage girls on it. He's been prosecuted.
Is that the one that has the Bill Clinton on the speed dial?
Yeah, that's the one. And so the real problem I have is CNN and MSNBC and National Propaganda Radio lie to us so much, so frequently, that when a theory like this comes along, it's like you don't have anybody to turn to for the truth.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if CNN says, "Oh, this is all fake news," well, you lie all the time. I forget. I posted one just like yesterday. Oh yeah, remember? Just yesterday, CNN did, or yesterday or Monday, CNN did an entire article on people are worried because they think Trump is going to put people in concentration camps, and they had all these Japanese survivors of the internment camps of World War II talking and crying and
Who were put in camps by a Democrat.
I know that. But they're inferring that that's what Trump is going to do, and that's what people
Based
are worried
on-
about, based on nothing.
Well,
Exactly.
I wouldn't say it's based on. I think it's extremely unlikely. I don't think this is going to happen. But it's not. There is. I forget his name. There is someone who is joining Trump's cabinet. I forget who it is now.
Bannon?
Who did? No, not him. No, somebody, a lower level guy who did float that idea or was discussing possibly. Oh, the Muslim registry. That's what it was.
Okay.
That is out there. That of the idea of a Muslim
Yeah, but-
registry. That's
but-
where this is coming from.
Okay, whatever. But we are so far removed from putting people in concentration camps.
Yeah.
That CNN running that as a legitimate story
Right.
is such a lie. It's so deceptive that so when I hear some conspiracy theory about Pizzagate, I know CNN's not going to tell me the truth because they never do.
Right.
I know National Propaganda Radio isn't going to tell me the truth because they never do.
Right. I listen to them a lot.
I do, and I have to shut it off because I know.
Yeah, because I read the story the night before, and then I listened on the radio. I'm like, they're not telling the most important part, and they're leaving the listeners a completely different, theory.
Well, yeah, especially when you and I are active and we go to these events, we know what happened at the event,
Yeah.
and you hear a completely different
Yeah.
story from National Propaganda Radio. You know that they lie to us all the time. So to me, the real reason that something like Pizzagate gets so much tread or so much is so easily believed
Yeah,
is because
conspiracy.
the mainstream media lies to us all the time.
I think that I've been saying this for a few years. I feel that we live in kind of a post-truth, post-fact society where everyone only pays attention to whatever media appeals to their own biases.
Yeah. Yeah, if you listen to CNN...
I don't think there is any truth anymore.
I know. Well, if you listen to MSNBC, CNN, and CBS,
Fake news.
fake news, you hated Trump. If you listen to Breitbart, Fox, Rush Limbaugh, and Sean Hannity for the last 4 months, you hate Hillary. And it's like a polarization, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Right.
But who the heck knows what it is?
People like to be in their bubble, and I think it's very unhealthy. I think it's intellectually very unhealthy.
But the thing is, there's no real news reporting anymore.
Well, I don't know about that. I think there's a lot of really good alternative media, but I think the mainstream media is all left and right. And
Obama just gave it to the United Nations, the internet.
Yeah, that's another thing we gotta get you on again. Talk about is the fact that hate speech, the United Nations is attacking the internet and Facebook, Google,
Yeah.
and others for not
Twitter.
stopping
Yeah.
hate speech quick enough.
Yeah.
Okay?
Have you heard about the Kellogg's boycott?
Yeah, I heard about that. But
I didn't hear this.
the hate speech, what is that in Europe right now? It's like Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
He got kicked off of Twitter.
He
Conservatives.
got kicked off of Twitter.
Yeah.
He also said in one of his speeches at one of the colleges, is if I said most of what I said today, if I said that in England, I would be arrested. Okay?
What if
So
what if
what I'm
Donald
getting at-
Trump,
well, let me
what if
just-
Donald Trump said what Angela Merkel just said, I want to ban the burqa. What
Right.
if Donald Trump had said that?
Oh gosh.
Talk about that would be hate speech. But Angela Merkel in Germany says it. Not a peep.
Not a peep.
I didn't know that she had said that.
Yeah.
Was that today? Or?
Yeah, a couple of days ago.
Okay, yeah.
And that was on the heels of her saying she wants to get 100,000 new immigrants out of Germany.
Huh.
I mean, she's backpedaling big time.
Strange. Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
no, that's all right.
We're about
It's
out of
just-
time.
we're out of time anyway.
Oh. So the Kellogg's boycott?
Yeah,
Kellogg's withdrew advertisement from Breitbart.com because it didn't align with their values. Although they're selling in Muslim countries in China, and they never did state what the values are. So now people are boycotting Kellogg's because they started it. They're like, no, we don't like half the country's values.
No.
We're done with you.
Yeah. Well, that's
And that's
capitalism. They're free to do what they want.
But that's
and
the
consumers
media's
can do
fault.
what they want.
That's the media's fault for portraying Breitbart as some kind of right-wing nationalist, alt-right,
Racist.
And it's unbelievable.
I think people should go to Breitbart and decide for themselves.
They should.
Yes.
Excellent endorsement.
Well,
Hey.
I'm not endorsing
No,
Breitbart.
that's right.
I'm not. No. I'm just
Hey, we'll
saying.
see you guys
Make up
next
your own
week.
mind. Bye, everybody.
Please go. Yeah, not